Hi there. So, on a rare occasion, we are really, really late in starting our Monday mindset. So, if those of you who were trying to catch this and then it didn't start, my apologies. And I know we're talking about connecting before correcting. So, let me just connect with you on the fact that this didn't start on time. And we make every effort to do that, but it didn't quite work out today. So, thank you for your patience. And yeah, if this impacted you in any particular way, like you were frustrated or had been waiting, wondering what's going on, maybe thinking it was on your end, having to fix your bandwidth, your Wi-Fi, or log in properly, or any of those things, I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge the impact that it may have had on you. And I do apologize. And let's get into our topic. So we are talking about today with another version of winning cooperation. In a sense, those of you who caught it last week might know what I'm talking about. I would roll through 4 steps to winning cooperation. So last week was the winning cooperation step of getting into their world, showing understanding, sharing your true feelings and perceptions, and working on a solution together. Really powerful formula for getting past a lot of things that otherwise would lead to power struggles. Today, I'm going to kind of zoom out and talk about just like a global idea of connecting before correcting. And I've also often thought of it as like connecting before directing or connecting before requesting even. And the reason why we want to connect before we direct, request, or correct is that it's really giving kids this feeling that they have dignity and what it is that they're up to is worthwhile acknowledging, and maybe even acknowledging something that's going well before we come in with this sort of like making things happen kind of attitude towards whatever it is they're doing. So when I think of connecting before correcting, I think about the thousands of times that I would be observing children in the classroom or even my own stepchildren and see them do something that was out of bounds. Now, I'm not talking about things that are highly unsafe, okay? Because if it's highly unsafe, you might just go, whoa, whoa, and immediately correct and immediately direct, right? Like stop, freeze, don't move. There's glass on the floor or whatever it might be. I'm talking about anything that's sort of in the, I don't know, 7 out of 10 intensity, not 8, 9, 10 out of 10, where, or like 0 to 7, where it would be helpful for you to intervene and even important for them to learn something or understand that there's a limit or a boundary or, some kind of ask that you have, but it's not an emergency. So I want you to now think about the last time that you might have intervened and said something, either a request, a direction, a reminder, something, some kind of intervention in what you were observing, that maybe could have waited for just a beat. And the only way you can even assess this is if you do something that I think is one of the most important skills for all parents and caregivers, which is to build up the habit of observing before intervening. I'm going to say it again, observe before you intervene. In my Montessori background, we actually even practice observing where we'd sit for an hour and a half and not intervene at all with our own students. Of course, we'd have somebody helping us out, but we would just sit and we just observe. And the reason why we do that is because when we are in a mode where we're intervening, we miss a lot of information and we could become less effective with our interventions. And this makes sense. If you walk into a doctor's office and you say, I have a sore throat, and they say, here's your prescription. Let's compare that to you walk into a doctor's office and you have a sore throat and they say, well, tell me about the last week and what's been going on. Any other symptoms? How long has this been going on? Oh, let me observe your throat. They take a look. They touch maybe your glands to see if they're swollen, right? They take your temperature, gather information. And then maybe the intervention is, you know what, I don't think you need antibiotics, but I'll write a prescription just in case. If these 3 symptoms show up, then you should start taking them and call my office, right? In the meantime, here are 3 things you can do about the symptoms. Gargle with salt water, try this cough, this cough suppressant or something, right? This soothing throat coat thing, and try to drink as much water as possible, let's say. They give you some things you can do. I would trust that advice so much more than the first scenario, wouldn't you? And also, doesn't it sound like a more effective strategy? It's like nuanced. There's a, if this happens, then that, right? And oftentimes kids will distrust our advice if it comes too quickly. And then what we see as a motivation problem where they're not listening to us is actually a pretty reasonable resistance to uninformed advice. Now, if your kids are really young, they might just be having a knee-jerk reaction to all advice, or even older kids too. But I would say specifically if you're in this pattern where you would like them to listen quickly and they're not, consider what you do have control over, which is how you show up to these conversations, and try connecting before correcting. Now, a lot of you who have studied with me know that in order to maintain a positive relationship with another human being, John Gottman and his associates, these relationship researchers wanted to see what was going well with relationships. They say that in order for a relationship to stay in a positive status, or if a kid was asked, how well do you get along with your mom, or how well do you get along with your mama or your dad, or whoever the caregiver is, they would say, we get along well, right? Overall. It's a 4-to-1 ratio of positive interactions to negative interactions. So if you put these two things together, connecting before correcting, directing, or requesting, so connection first, and maintaining the 4-to-1 ratio, you've got a pretty good formula for getting kids to feel like you are truly on their side, and gathering the chance to gather enough information through observation that your intervention on their behalf, usually, right, or on the family's behalf, or on behalf of what's right and good and fair, is more likely to land well, and they're more likely to trust you and respect you and feel like you have that mutuality between you that helps relationships thrive and helps set them on a good path. Last but not least, don't forget to observe after your intervention. So it goes observe, intervene, observe again. What impact did the intervention even have? Just like the doctor said, call me in a couple of days, let me know how it's going, or, before you take the antibiotics, if, make sure you let us know these symptoms are happening. And then there'd be a follow-up, right, of making sure things are going well. Want to know what is happening after your intervention, because that means that you are paying attention to your impact on them. Like, did it work to turn it into a game and make it fun? Did that seem to lighten their mood, and were they more motivated to do their homework now, or not, right? Did it work for you to offer choices and be really clear about consequences, so they understand that if they go down this road, good things happen. If they go down this road, less good things happen, less favorable things happen, maybe even consequences. How did that shape their choices, right? To let them know, did that shape their behavior or not, right? Was their reaction when you followed through on the consequence just as intense as last time, or more intense, or less intense? You can start to get a sense of what's working and what's not working when you participate in the lab of life by building in these observation points where you really do take a moment to think and reflect on what you're doing. This leads to a more intentional and even collaborative approach of parenting with your kid, of parenting, where your kids do feel like you're on the same side, working towards similar goals over time. Now, if this has been really hard and you're struggling, or if this is something that sounds really good but out of reach to you right now, like where would you even start? You might be a good candidate for one of our programs. And our year-long program, our signature Family Foundations Immersion program, is enrolling right now, and our cohort is closing this Thursday. So if you're hearing this and it just seems like the right message at the right time about getting some support and getting a sense of what's possible for your family, don't miss this opportunity to consider mentorship in your life, because this is something that a lot of folks are starting to lean into, that it's okay and even kind of amazing to get support with parenting. Now, we don't want this to feel in any way like a judgment of you're not capable, or you're not good at this, or you're not doing it right? Like, that's definitely not what we're up to here in Raising Our Resilience. As a matter of fact, we don't believe there is any one right way to raise kids, or one perfect way to parent. I'm not a method-based practitioner for a reason. I don't say, oh, you should do this method and that's the right way to, let's say, sleep train or to discipline a child, right? Instead, I'm all about helping you find your authentic way. And I also have a little announcement that I'm excited to share with you, which is that I am indeed launching a podcast. But before I share more about that, just know that if you are somebody who would very much like to explore mentorship around parenting and maybe even join our cohort, I really want to hear from you. So please email me at raisingourresilience@gmail.com, raisingourresilience@gmail.com, or consider hopping onto my calendar for one of our free complimentary sessions where we'll have a chance to have you take a parenting strengths quiz, go over the results, and get you some specific support and advice around what would be most helpful for your family right now, like what strengths we'll build off of, and create a learning plan for you so that you can powerfully move forward into the rest of this year of parenting. Okay. So back to the podcast, though, it's true. Some of you may have heard because you're on my mailing list, and or maybe just a little buzz in the community. Some people have been sharing some posts about this because they're quite excited. I'm excited too, that we are launching the Calm Empowered Parent podcast. And this is your opportunity to immerse yourself in conversations that will possibly illuminate a calm and empowered approach for you. And even though you have potentially challenging child behaviors, or your nervous system is dysregulated, and maybe there's even some power struggles going on, I want you to engage with these episodes like these because there are heartwarming anecdotes, and we bring in experts to share their wisdom, and also some hands-on guidance from me and the folks that I bring on to help you feel a little more poised and connected and maybe tapped into this potential for your family and expand on it so it feels boundless. Because we're here to challenge the societal expectation that parents should already know everything they need to know about raising kids. That's a bunch of baloney. It's just not fair. And we also want to challenge the myth that that parents have to do it all alone to figure it out and kind of piece it together from stuff out there. We just want you to come in and focus on one resource that could really powerfully move you forward. And if for you, that's the podcast, great. If for you, it's something more hands-on than the podcast, like the year-long program, let us know soon. Like I said, the cohort's closing on Thursday. And we believe that through these different modalities, we can build stronger families. And that's how we can build more resilience in our communities and even the world at large. So we'd love to see you all as that podcast is launching on March 11th. And then we're having a special event just for folks who want to support the podcast and maybe even get in on some goodies. There's some prizes and some games on March 18th. So more information about that coming. I just wanted to share from me personally about what's coming up and share my excitement because this is going to be a whole new chapter of our journey together as a community. So great to have you all here. Those of you who are listening here on Facebook, Zoom, and on YouTube, and soon on all of the platforms that you like to listen to podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, and others. So we're looking forward to sharing with you even more broadly and giving you ways you can share the good news with other caregivers and parents in your world that it is possible to become calmer and more empowered and to have a powerful way forward for yourself and your family members. So lots of love to you. Until next time, big love, and we'll look forward to our next time together. We have a Monday Mindset next week, and then, of course, our podcast episodes are coming up soon. So keep an eye out for those announcements. Mark your calendars, and we'll see you soon. Take care for now.